We'll get started in just a moment. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Looking forward to it. I actually had a really interesting experience today, and if you're interested, don't know if you've ever heard of the Global Group of Educators sponsored by Google, but I had the opportunity to share some of what we've been learning a little bit more around the ways we can support students and engage in computer science and robotics. I did have a chance to have that on YouTube. I'll put it on the website a little bit later in case you want to check that out. And while we are waiting, I will share, hey, please do check out our website. I'm going to let you know, you can always check it out really quick. There's actually an easy way, and my colleague who's actually joining me right now, Julie Roney, I'll have a chance to introduce her formally in just a moment, stem.ocde.us. So in case you actually forget all these tiny URLs, though they're fun, just remember stem.ocde.us, and that will actually take you directly to our website. Of course, there's some other things there. You're going to see math, science. We're on the computer science tab, though, so just click right there where you'll be able to see everything from the distance learning resources all the way to the professional learning resources. That's where this presentation is housed. So, of course, you can click on that link right there that we have for you, or you can always just go to stem.ocde.us and you'll find it through the computer science resources. So welcome back. And thank you for joining us today. It's 3 o'clock, so we'll go ahead and get started. Working at the Orange County Department of Education has been an honor. I don't know if I've shared, but I've been there about 14 years now. I actually started off as a senior departmental secretary, you know, and for those of us in education, you may or may not know this, but usually there's a classified side and there's a certificated side. And usually the twain don't cross over too often, right? However, you know, as I shared, you know, it's really been an honor to be the last 14 years. And as I saw educators and leaders, you know, doing such amazing work to support education, I decided to go back to school to get my own degree, to work for my own teaching credential. I'm actually honored to share just this past Saturday, I earned my teaching credential for computer science with the UCI program. It's actually very exciting to think about this opportunity to share in this way. But along the way, it's been a lot of learning through projects and opportunities to collaborate. And I say that because one of my collaborative partners is on the line right now. A couple of years ago, we thought, how can we bring opportunities for competitive robotics to Orange County? And joining me as a collaborative partner, we said, let's launch the Orange County Robotics Consortium. Actually, a couple of years in, we've had hundreds of kids come through and compete in robotics. It's been so exciting. And while we are in this new time, we're planning about that. But I do want to take an opportunity to introduce her, Julie Roney, who's on the call right now. She leads some great work in our STEM department, is one of our coordinators, working with our OC Maker Challenge and work with the robotics team and science and math. So please do introduce yourself, Julie, and share.
Alrighty, hi everyone. Well, Omar told you who I am. I'm Julie, and I am with the Orange County Department of Ed STEM team also. I think I'm going into my, oh goodness, I've already forgotten, 3rd or 4th year, honestly. Randy's given me 3. Thank you, Randy. I see lots of familiar faces in this chat, so thank you all for being here. I don't know what else to say. I think, Omar, do you want to switch over, share screen, and I can give a sneak preview to the OC Maker now, or do you want to do that later?
Sure. Yeah, that would be great, actually. I can give you the privileges. I think I've made you co-host. So if you hit share, you should be able to do that, and you can feel free to share up.
Stop sharing yours.
Yes, that's perfectly fine. We'll hop back over here in just a moment.
And I will start sharing mine. Alrighty, so what I am showing you, and again, I see familiar faces in here, and I see some people, I see at least 2 of you who participate in the OC Maker Challenge. What I wanted to share with you all is that this year, the OC Maker Challenge came to a screeching halt, along with many things due to the social distancing in March, but we quickly revamped, and a few of the teams and teachers continued on, and we went virtual. So this is just the screen I'm showing you is the OC Maker Challenge website. It's ocmakerchallenge.com. and it will have all of the information for moving forward for the 2020-2021 season. That's really hard to say. But if you want a sneak preview of the virtual showcase, you can go up to the top and just click on that, and you'll see all of the student projects. We're going to handle this year, we're planning for virtual. If things lighten up and we're able to go in person, we can easily modify and adapt and include something in person, but we want to plan for virtual from day one. That said, we haven't figured out all of the logistics, but we are doing this. If you're interested in learning more, basically what the OC Maker Challenge is, it's a pre-K-12 collaborative projects that teachers facilitate student teams in designing something that solves a real world problem, need, or want. We'd like it to be something that's not one more thing, so we want it really tied into your classroom and your standards and your curriculum virtually now. We are asking that it is still collaborative. We know we're going to be sharing lots of resources for students to collaborate digitally while we're in distance learning, but that is one piece that makes it so much, it's unique. It's not just a science fair project, it's that team building. Some sneak preview dates that I don't even know if my team wants me to share with you all, but you get a sneak preview, are our orientation meetings. Obviously, we'll be doing those virtually as well. But we have them scheduled for September 16th from 3 to 4 p.m. And we have a repeat of that on September 30th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. because we know teachers' schedules are going to look very different this fall. If you cannot attend either one of those, we're recording them, and we are in the process of building out a Canvas course with all of our OC Maker modules, where we'll house that so that we can do some synchronous and synchronous professional development with teachers. I don't want to take up too much more of Omar's time. If you're interested in learning more, go to the website. I'll drop those dates in here in the chat, and I'll put my email there. And we're looking at having it go live in May. So we haven't worked out dates, but the challenge will probably be in May. So lots of time to plan.
Well, hey,
right,
thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. We're going to, could you, I think, stop sharing? Let me take a look here. Do I need to do this here? Just a moment. My screen, share. All right, there we go. So again, welcome, welcome. And it's such a humbling honor to share with you today and collaborate with such an amazing team. Because we've had a chance to, kind of go through some things. Today's day 4. Thank you for coming on back and joining us. Today is going to be a look at, the orientation's a little off. Dole Whip lesson plan. What's Dole Whip lesson planning? We'll talk about that. UDL and CS and the AI and device experiment. All right, so let's really talk about this. I really want to give credit to John Carippo. He's an awesome educator. I've collaborated with him with the Q organization. And one day, as we thought, gee, wouldn't it be great if every lesson could be like Dole Whip? I said, Dole Whip, but why? Well, Dole Whip because, it tastes good, right? And it's good for you, it has vitamin C. So as we thought about that, I began to consider that it really could be an acronym for something, right? DOLE, delivering an outstanding learning experience. And the whip really could be something real, right? The W could be wildly engaging, right? Something that's really going to grip the students and keep them engaged. It's going to be high impact, meaning it's going to be grounded in content standards. It's going to give us instant feedback, meaning we're going to know how are the students responding to this, meaning we have a series of formative assessments built in to inform us as we're engaging our learners. And we're going to be thinking about our pedagogy, right? Is it didactics? Are we going to be doing some different collaborative work, right? And as we think about this, it really is grounded in the ideas, honestly, that we learned as we learned about project-based learning, right? So we're going to think about what is that project seed? What do we want our students to create, build, or do? And we really want to think about what our students will learn and who is the authentic audience. A lot of times in the work we do in career education, it's really big to consider notions around helping students to create portfolios that document that work, right? When we think of projects that we've had students work on, where are those projects now? Are they in a bin? Are they in a box in the back? When we think of the idea of making a place or a space where the projects can live and the students know that what they make, what they create, will live on, it changes how they think about it. Let's think about that as we're planning our lessons, right? What's the true purpose of it, right? And why will it matter to the students? One of the biggest things that we learn when we learn about culturally responsive pedagogy and culturally responsive teaching strategies are those 3 levels of culture. Now, hopefully you had a chance to look at those, whether we're talking about the surface, right, how we speak, the music we listen to, whether we're talking about the shallow, right, which really isn't, right, how we respond to things, right, or it goes more deep. How can we make sure these lessons matter to our students? Why will they care? And how can we demonstrate? Now, that difference may not be in the world. Sometimes that difference may just be in their capacity for learning or in truly grasping a concept, right? What will be our entry point? How are we going to engage these learners? Where are we going to start, right? So really, a lot of times when we're planning lessons and we're in this space of thinking of how can we create engaging learning opportunities, we have to ask this question, right? Is this going to be student or teacher driven? I really would argue right now, especially in this new virtual learning space, we need to think of ways we can design lessons that will intrinsically motivate our students. Because ultimately, if we aren't there to prod, to support, to encourage, they're going to have to actually want to go do it. That's a piece of that we have to acknowledge. I've observed, I know we didn't talk about this, but I do have 4 sons. My 18-year-old twins just graduated from high school. My youngest has started in 9th grade. And as I observed them engaging in distance learning, it wasn't just me, giving them the proverbial push or literal push to go do their work. It really was also them saying, okay, I actually want to learn or get my grade up or whatever that is. So what are those things we're going to think about that are going to intrinsically motivate our students as they're engaging, right? So right now, I really want to be honest, this was developed under an initial STEM mindset. So I'm going to say this. How do you see your students engaging in these CS practices, right? STEM, yes, but CS practices. We talked about those core concepts, those sub-concepts, those practices, remember, fostering an inclusive computing culture, et cetera, right? How might you see your students engaging in those as they engage in the lesson, right? And then really, what is the specific academic content we want the students to learn? To the point of one of our attendees now, Mr. Colsett, we were literally just talking about ways we can support teachers and being able to integrate this, making them want to do it. And as we think about that, wouldn't it be great if a lesson was directly connected to something they're already having to teach? For example, if I'm having to teach a specific concept in math, in science, in language arts, what might be a space I can observe to be able to just pepper in some CS content, though unplugged, right? And we haven't talked about, unplugged, meaning it is computer science learning that doesn't involve a computer. Plugged is considering computer science learning where you are working with a computer, right? How do we want them to learn? Thinking of those C's that we have them there, and we do see the 5th C of character, right? That's really what it's about here. All right. What will the students read? Now, one of the cool things about CS is you can have students read code. What do you think this code is going to do, right? What do you see this code doing? Or you can have them read some actual text that maybe gives them information on ways they can program or gives them information around the computing field. Maybe it's on cybersecurity or some other related topic, right? And then what will the students write? Now, this is the most interesting space. Often, we're in situations where we say, what am I going to do with the students that accomplish the content right away? Well, in my observation, the space around writing around their experience, writing in the mindset around reflection, right? Writing comparative analysis, writing technical papers, writing additional code. Those are all spaces that can allow the student to exist in the existing content, but extend their content understanding with greater depth, if that makes sense, all right? And ultimately, you know I might have said this before, but as an educator who works with learners that do have diverse needs, I work with students that are DHH, I work with students on the spectrum, I work with students that have a wide range of needs. So where are there opportunities for differentiation? Well, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. We're going to get in breakout rooms. We're going to talk about some of these UDL strategies in CS. But I want you to be thinking about that as we take a look at a DOLE with CS lesson. Now, these are just questions. Notice these are just prompts for reflection, right? Voice and choice. Where are these experiences designed to include student, parent, and community voice in the co-design of educational experiences? Equity and diversity, right? How are these experiences designed to provide access and challenge for all students to engage in meaningful work? We talked about staying away from that pedagogy of poverty. So that's really where we're planning supports for students. How are we going to ensure that our students are able to embrace this content, and when they reach struggle, that they can be productive with additional learning? That's where that exists. Reflective practice. How are these experiences designed to foster thoughtful and deliberate practice? Even though, I'm going to be honest with you guys, and if anyone wants to see it, I created a game in Python that's tic-tac-toe. It took me like a bajillion hours, but it was really exciting. And being able to accomplish it, even though I've got a couple glitches, I'll be honest in case you want to see it, I found it to be personally rewarding. And I think ultimately in our journey of wanting to work with our students, isn't that the goal? You want them to learn, but wouldn't it be great if students also had experiences that they found personally rewarding? Which brings us to the passion. How are these experiences designed to tap into students and teachers' personal questions, values, and passions? So if you're following the presentation, you all know this on our slide deck, but I do want to share with you just a sample lesson, a DOLE with CS lesson, and then I'll show you just an example of what that could look like, okay? We're going to go through it quickly because we are going to get in our breakout rooms in just a moment. So there we go. This idea here is grounded in the concept around a variable and a variable assignment and a reassignment, right? That's my idea. So the question is, what do you want your students to create, build, or do? Can I make this bigger? I'm sorry, just a moment, please. All right, here we go. All right, we want them to write a program in Python that demonstrates their understanding of variable assignment and programming, reassignment of variables, and updating variables within a program. What do I want them to discover? Students will learn that the equal sign when writing a program is merely a reference for an object and not an absolute. Students will discover connections to working with variables in math class. Students will learn that in programming, variable assignment is not absolute, rather variables can be read. Who is the authentic audience? Well, in this case, students and their classroom of peers upon sharing their experiences. Where will it live? Well, given we're working in the LMS, in the Canvas platform, you can put students in groups to be able to help them collaborate and work together. So they can submit their lesson to LMS via PDF or a Word document, or they can also create a narrated video of the developed program. Just thinking about the whole idea of multiple representation. So the question here is, what will your entry event be? Really giving the students a challenge, asking them a question. What is printed when the following statement executes? And just asking them to kind of share out loud or put in the chat that, right? And then when we think about these computational thinking practices, remember on the slideshow it said STEM practices? This is actually what we were referring to. These core practices here, right? And which concept might you be focusing on? Now, we won't dive into all the concepts now. All this is shared for you, but this is just a representation of how when you're planning, you can begin to think in a cross-curricular way and looking at how they're all designed. So as we engage in this lesson, we'll be focused on the concept of algorithms and programming and the sub-concept of variables. The sub-concept focus is recognizing and defining computational problems. I'm going to scroll back up because I want you to see that there, right? These are those practices, right? So we'll see that recognizing and defining computational problems is number 3. You don't have to select them all, and nor should you, but select 1 or 2 as you're planning, and along the way, students will glean those understandings. So in this lesson, student will be introduced to the concept and given an opportunity to write a program where they will assign a variable. And then we go through, we see it's related to content and Common Core state standards of math. The standards are linked here, the California Computer Science Standard, as well as the California Math Standard that it aligns to. And then what will they read? They'll be reading in the chapter of the book, and they will write programs in this situation. And for differentiation, we'll have an on-screen reader, and they can write a pseudocode if they are unable, if they need additional support to develop the program in a remote environment. English learner, collaborative partner, etc. And those reflective questions, there are no answers there. And then I thought I would show you how we whip it, right? DOLE whip it. I know that sounds kind of funny. I'm sorry. Okay. On the left here, we say, how are we going to have it wildly engaging? We're going to have students chatting and sharing out. How is it going to be in high impact? Well, we're going to show that it teaches concepts around variable assignment and reassigning values within the program. How are we going to get instant feedback? Well, they're going to respond in a prompt, a chat, or a poll. And what is our pedagogy? Is it didactic, discussion, in person? Well, the presentation on the topic and then collaborative discussion in topic and response. So I actually linked a sample presentation that I tried to hammer out really quick for you guys, just to kind of emulate what that would look like. We're not going to go through it, but you can click on it there. It essentially just kind of walks through what that would look like. So chapter 2, variables. What is a variable? Name equals value, right? But really, we're going to see it as an assignment for it, right? That the equal is merely an assignment. And we have multiple variables listed there, right? And then we're going to show them a graphic, just like we described, but we do have support, because if you look, it actually shows you what's actually going to print when you run it. But then we show them how we can reassign it to a different value. And then we go through some more information on variable reassignment, ask them to run through some sample questions in the classroom, like what we talked about. And now keep calm, because now it's your turn. We send them off to program. Well, they'll turn in their computational artifacts, Ms. Salazar. Their computational artifact will be submitted, which will be their program, which will be a representation of their learning. So we're going to go out of this now back to the presentation, just because I know that was a quick review, but please know those resources are there for you in this resources folder, where you can be able to take a look at the sample presentation, take a look at the sample lesson, and consider it through developing your own DOLE whip lesson. All right. And if you're interested in seeing the STEM version of that lesson planning resource, just drop a line in the chat or shoot me an email. I'll be happy to send you that as well. All right. So right now, let me show you what we're going to do. We're going to have a 7-minute breakout session. And here's what you're going to do. A lot of times we talk about these notions around universal design for learning. And they're also often spoken of in very theoretical ways in certain trainings I've been to. I thought, gee, what if we got together and we explored just sharing ideas? So let's look at what this is. Universal design for learning allows you to consider ways you can look at your way of supporting students as they access, build, and internalize, and have multiple ways in which they can do that. So right now, on these next 3 slides, they're on the presentation, so please do access that, as that's where you'll be able to see this information, right? It has multiple means. Let's just follow the left side only right now. Right now, we're looking at multiple means of engagement, right? And it says affects networks the why of learning. So it's access, build, internalize. I'm going to go back again, right? Access, right? Access about providing options for how we can recruit interest. Build, providing options for how we can support them in sustaining effort and persistence. Internalize, providing options for how they can self-regulate. as a group, we'll review those, right? And there are 3 levels. Let me go back. There is engagement, there's representation, and there's action and expression. So the goal is, in our group of 3, maybe we can take a moment of reviewing just one column and then share amongst each other our observations of that column. And the prompt is this, right? In universal designing, these here are the goals, right? Review the following slides and discuss the implications of integrating these strategies in your classroom. Okay? Might there be any questions? Feel free to hop on the chat or, hop on the microphone, you can unmute yourself or type it in the chat, and we'd be happy to support you with that. Okay, all right, well, I don't see any questions. Let's go prepare to hop in our breakout rooms, and let's take a look at these UDL strategies. You'll notice these are focused on the CS lens, in case you do notice that. Oh, absolutely. Okay, here we go. Just a moment. Breakout rooms. Opening rooms now. All right. Well, hey, thank you, everyone. Welcome back. Hopefully you had a positive experience reviewing those UDL strategies and CS. I'm curious, I often hear, and I'm sure you have too, UDL is the buzzword. It's everywhere now, right? UDL this and UDL that. But I do think in this case, I find some interesting ideas offered. So I'm curious some of your observations and feedback as you observe those 3 documents. Please do share in the chat or come on to the microphone and let us know any thoughts you have as you reviewed those resources.
This is Randy. One of the things that I noticed, like for UDL, like the top rungs that you'd put up there, I kind of understood because that's what I had been introduced to. But that I didn't understand like how you move down through the internalizing, the 3 stages going down from the top. I didn't see how that correlated. So that's where I got stuck when we were talking about it. But other than that.
Well, I'm definitely, I'm glad we had a chance to elevate some of those resources. Were you able?
Just kidding.
I definitely want to let you know that there are loads of different ways in which you can consider those UDL strategies as you're planning. And I definitely know that there is no one approach. Rather, it's considering your students, learning more about where they are, and through there, planning ways you can integrate selective strategies to try to plan to meet all student needs. A lot of times it can be said when you integrate UDL strategies, it can help minimize the need for additional differentiation. Not that there won't be need for that, but a lot of times you can have certain structures pre-built in, baked into your lesson/curricula to support you with that. Might there be any others that would like to share any other reflections before we transition to looking at our work with PopFizz? Well, again, I thank you each for joining us and considering some of these ideas, and to please do feel free to pop back over and take a look at our website and share out those resources. This presentation as well will be on the YouTube that we'll upload to our website by tomorrow as well. I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to our friends with PopFizz, and I have been really having an exciting opportunity to engage that. Jane, I know I've given you co-host access, so feel free to hop on. You can share the screen and
Sure.
you'll be able to engage from there. Thank you.
All right. So thank you everybody for making day 4. Woohoo! One more day to go. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time at the beginning to do a little bit of housekeeping. So if you haven't yet, please join us at our course. This is the join link, and I'll also paste this into the chat window right now. And so we are on day 4, which is module 4. So if you haven't had a chance to go through them yet, please do so at your own pace. So day 1, we looked at CS education landscape equity, looking at some of the stats. Day 2, you had computational thinking exercises, a lot of them. And day 3, HTML and CSS. I noticed that a lot of you have progressed through to the end. Awesome. And tomorrow, oh, actually today, we're doing JavaScript. Then tomorrow we'll be using Google's Teachable Machine, where we're going to train the AI to distinguish different things by image, sound, or your poses. And all right, so that is that. And another thing that I wanted to briefly talk about was the site. So you'll probably notice that after you make the submission for your project, that your icon turns yellow. That means that it's ready for code review. So the facilitators of the course will go in and give you personal code reviews for your assignment. And once you get those reviews, you'll see that the icon color has changed to either green or red. If you see red, it means that you may want to revisit. And there will be a little icon in the corner. It's a blue icon. Click on it and you'll be able to see our code review that's customized and personalized for your project. So that is that. And I've also noticed that when people get stuck, you know, there are many ways to ask questions. So one is through the intercom. It's a little chat icon in the dashboard. So we've been getting questions through that. And also, after you make the submission, you'll notice that there is a, oh, hold on, please. So where am I? Okay, so let's say that I made a submission here. And you'll see that there's a button that says see explanation. So we don't give this up front. We only give this to you after you make an effort. So if you get stuck, you know, make the submission and see what the explanation is. And this is actually the solution that you can adopt. So that is that. And another thing is, we've also noticed that there were a lot of you in the forum, and you can actually customize your forum icon here with your own photo. So we can do that by clicking on that profile image in the top right corner, and then click on profile, and then it'll take you to a page where you can upload an image. And you can just do that very easily by clicking on this icon here. So you can personalize your avatar that way. Another thing that you might want to do is change your username, and you can do that on the PopFizz side. So if you click on that teacher or the profile icon on the top corner, and then go to settings, and from there, you'll see that there is a field where you can create your custom forum name. And there are some very interesting names out there. You can you know, use your own name. I just inserted Ada here. And so yeah, feel free to customize your username and your avatar on the forum. And then last thing, so every one of you who are in this course, you will be getting a 5-day Python PD course access. It'll be set up for you by Monday morning, so you can start right away. And one other thing that I wanted to show you is our dashboard area, where I can track how things are going. And this is a overview of what's going on in the course. And as you can see, there are a lot of you spending a lot of time here, and we are getting a boost in the engagement. So we've also seen teachers putting up rewards. So if, you know, the engagement goes to like, you know, all the, every student in that classroom, or the amount of time exceeds 8,000 minutes, then, you know, there's a reward of having students mingle with each other at the beginning of the course webinar. So they maybe like the front 10 minutes, they'll be able to talk to each other on Zoom. So that's a reward. And so that's one thing that I wanted to show here. So we are on a good track. All right. And so we can actually also dig into individual levels. And I wanted to blur out the name, so I'm showing you the screen here. And so we're making a good progress. If you haven't started, please do so. And all right, so let's go on to day 4. So one thing that we definitely don't want to do is lecture. We're all about learning by doing approach. So what we're going to be doing today, instead of doing lecturing, we're going to explore and hack a website. You might want to do this with your students. They get very excited when they realize that they have power to do this. And let me do a presentation mode on this. Okay, so those of you who went through the assignments, tasks for day 3 would probably get an idea of what consists a web page, right? So there are basically 3 things in the front end, the client side. So that would be HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. And if you can type this in the chat window. What does HTML do? What is it for? Can you guess what it's for? Display, putting text on page? Yep, yep. Language on the page? Yep. Yes, so it basically, oh yes, markup language. Yes, it's actually an acronym for hypertext markup language, right? Did I get that right? Yeah, it formats the text on page. Great. So basically what it does is it creates a structure on your web page, and also you can display content with HTML. But more and more, this content part is being taken away from HTML. Instead of hard coding everything into your website, they are now putting all that content into database so that your content is, it's pulled together on the fly when that page is loaded. Anyway, so HTML takes care of the structure of your website and the content. And all right, CSS. What is CSS for? So it stands for Cascading Style Sheet, is that right? And I think I just mentioned the answer there. So CSS will style your website. Yes, Mary, thank you so much. Oh, yes, thank you so much. Centralizing code so tags are not needed. All right. So, and then the last portion is the JavaScript, right? So what is JavaScript for? Oh, and Timothy, thank you so much. CSS lets you set up the formatting to be consistent on all your web pages. Yep, if you structure it correctly. JavaScript is for animations. Awesome. Interactivity, interactions. Yes, it is. It's all about interactions, right? So what happens if you click on that button? You can design that with JavaScript. Yes. All right. So a lot of the fancy stuff that is going on modern browsers, on modern web pages nowadays, they're all done with JavaScript. Even back-end programming is done with JavaScript now. It's super popular. So JavaScript is good for everything on the web. All right, so next we're gonna jump in to hacking a website, and let's take a look at, HTML5. Well, that's a very broad question. Well, it's I guess, I don't know if you want to call it new anymore because it's been implemented everywhere, but it's a way more advanced HTML that will let you clean code. So it's very consistent. I don't know how else to explain that, but it's the norm now. And if there's anything that anyone would like to add to that, add to Omar's questions, please type it in the chat window. All right, so here is a web page. You can follow along if you like. Let me just type this into, I'll paste this into the chat window so you can follow along if you like. And you can also do this with your students. Right click on the website, and if you're on Chrome, this is doable, and then click inspect. And I know some of you know this. If you don't, this would be a new world for you. Oh yes, more interactive HTML, thank you. Yes, you can embed videos and do all sorts of fancy stuff with HTML5. All right, so here is the structure of the website. Yes, thank you, Timothy. Yes. All right, so we have a lot of experts in this group. Oh, that's great. So help me out if I get stuck or I do something wrong here, okay? All right. Live coding is always, brings up a lot of things. All right, so here is a website. We are now going to look under the hood, and how we did that was on your Chrome browser, click on, right click on your mouse, click on inspect, and you will see the code. Isn't this amazing? All right, so if you have done your assignment, you will know how to work with this website. So first of all, what we're going to try to do is we are going to try to change some text around here. And it's very easy to do that. All you have to do is just select this area. And here is the text, right? And as you can see, this text is surrounded by P tags, opening P tag and a closing P tag, and got a bunch of text between quotation marks. And then I'm just going to grab everything that's in between and then replace it with my name is Jane. All right, let's see if that works. And it did. So it just replaced that the text within those P tags. All right, so we just swapped a text very easily, just like that. And you can imagine that you can actually create a P tag and then embed a text and have that show up on your website, which was part of the first assignment that we had to do, right? So right here, yep, alter that P tag. So we just did that on this live website. And then the next thing that we're gonna do is we are going to change the title of this website. And those of you who are familiar with this, where is that title tag on this website? Can you point it out? I know it's gonna be very, very hard to point it out in chat window, but basically your title tags, whatever you put in between them, is going to show up. Oh yes, in terms of the location, yes, it's going to be under the HTML tag in the tab. Yes, right over here on the top. So this, let me annotate it briefly. All right, so let me grab that pen tool. So this is where that title tag will affect your website. And it's very important to put very accurate titles, because the search engines would send out these crawlers that would index your websites, and it'll take this title tag and then consider that. So then it'll show up in the search results based on this title tag and other things, but title tag is very important. All right, so let's alter that title tag now. And as I think Ray mentioned this, yep. So if you go under head, so we just opened up the head tags, right? It's right below the HTML tag. So the head tag is where you put all the meta stuff. So all the stuff that are not going to be showing up on your website, but you need as a setup, you'll put them all under the head tag. And as you can see, here is the title tag. We're going to change it. So it's going to say Jane's website. And once I do that, you'll see that the title has changed. All right, so that was the second task of our to-dos on PopFizz, right? So here we have to create title tags, and you will do that between the two head tags. Stop me if you have any questions. All right, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to change some of the headings. So let's take perhaps this welcome message. All right, so this welcome message, it's an H4, but we can change it to other headings, right? Heading 1. And just like that, we swap this to heading 1. And heading 1 is the most prominent, heading 2, a little less, heading 3, a little less, and so on. And you can change the style of your headings using the CSS, but they all have a default style. All right, so that is changing the headings. Now let's try swapping some of the images here. Okay, so let's swap this guy here with a rubber ducky image that I found online. And all I'm gonna do is I'm gonna grab the URL of where this image lives, right? Copy link address. And this isn't something that we covered in the PopFizz course, but I'll just slide it in there just for fun. And let's navigate that image and find that code. All right, so in the HTML, we see that this is the image. It's located under images/about.jpg. We're gonna swap that with our rubber ducky image URL. And let's see what happens. Did it go through? Oh, it disappeared. Huh, something went wrong there. I wonder what. Okay, so maybe that wasn't the accurate image location, which means that we'll actually have to maybe click on it and then grab it. Okay, copy image address. All right, so let's see if this address works. And swap that image source URL. Oops. Sorry, my computer is slowing down. Oh, that's even longer. Let's see if that works. Oh, there we go. Okay. So we just swapped that image with this rubber ducky. So just like that, we changed our image, and that image, we were able to insert it there by swapping the URL. And the next thing that we're going to do is one of the things that was introduced in the PopFizz course, which is adding links. And it's very easy to do, right? We just use that A tag, href, and we're going to do that for this website. Let's go and add a tag, add a link to the rubber ducky. All right, so how we do that is we are going to edit this HTML and then insert the A tags. A, href, and then equal sign, and then we're going to insert that URL, right? And that URL, let's send whoever clicks on that link to Google. So HTTP. Oh my gosh, my computer is very, very slow. // Google. Come on, don't die on me. Not yet. Okay, yeah, I need to upgrade my computer. Google, come on. .com. All right, and then we need to definitely close that A with a closing bracket there. And then also, if we have an opening tag, we always need a closing tag, right? So at the end of that, all that gobbledygook down there, we're going to close that A tag, /A, and then this should work. All right, so, oh yes, there we go. So our mouse changed to a finger, right? And we can click on it, and it's gonna take us to Google. All right, so that worked great. All right, going back to that website. Yeah, I think we're good with the HTML at this point. Did anyone have any questions on that? No? Okay, so we can also meddle with the CSS files. And before we begin, I want to show you where that CSS file lives. So you can actually embed the CSS file in this website, hard-coded in there, or you can create a separate file and then take care of your CSS there, which is a lot smarter to do, because let's say that you had 100 pages, right? And if you had your CSS code embedded in individual page, imagine updating it all together. Something's gonna go wrong. But if you just had one CSS file, which all your pages were referring to, all you have to do is alter that one CSS file. And then, yep, so that will make it a lot more simpler and easily manageable. And I'm going to show you where that CSS file lives and what that file actually looks like. So I'm going to grab this URL and note that this link to the CSS file is within the head tag, because it's something that we have to set up before the whole website loads. So you want to put it in the head tag. And I think I just grabbed that URL. So what I'm going to do is now I'm going to delete this end of the URL. And then, oops, sorry, not the right CSS. Oh, there we go. So this, I actually went and visited this site. So that it's still there. Okay, so this is what it looks like. This is the CSS file, and it's very straightforward, right? You have all these IDs and classes, and it tells you what it should look like, which is great. And you can also, using this inspector tool, alter your CSS. So for example, if you click on this inspector icon and then select About Me, it'll take you to this panel here down here in the styles, where it would list all the styles that are applied to this About Me. And there's a lot going on here, right? Font family, font size, and all of those here, right? They're all being applied to About Me. And you can actually change the text here. And then let's say we'll just do 100, and it's going to change the font weight and make it a little thinner, and so on. So you can actually meddle with the CSS here and change the color and do all the fancy stuff. All right, so that is CSS. And we also went through that in the course. And I'm sure that you were able to get through all of them, and you're on 14, the project part, where you were to put all of this together. So if you're not here yet, don't worry about it. Go on this at your own pace. And today we'll be dealing with JavaScript. And just to give you a little bit of taste, JavaScript is usually surrounded by this script tag, and it looks like this. Oops, sorry. And you can sort of make out what this means, right? So from this whole document, get an element called main content, right? And then apply style display none. Can you guess what this will do? So this was one of the Omar's approach to CS teaching, right? Predictions. So here's a code, which is structured like this. We have the HTML starting tag, and we have the head tags with the title inside it. And we also have an area that's ID main content, right? And then below all that, we have the script tags, which says main content, display none. What do you think will happen here? No guesses? Oh, okay. So, well, this will hide everything that's in this div tags. Yes, Alan, thank you so much. Yes, it's going to make this whole area disappear. So script tags are very, very powerful. And you might notice that the script tags for this website, they are kept under the head tag, right? There are links to the script tags, which are called .js. And let me see if I can find them here. Okay, so there are a bunch of CSS files, style sheets. Oh, I'm sorry. So for this website, usually they're kept in the header area. It's all at the bottom here. And there's a reason why this person has kept this all at the bottom, because one thing that could happen is that if your JS file is broken or won't load properly, your website is going to not show anything. And people are going to think that it's completely broken, and you don't want that to happen. So you keep it at the very end, because your website loads everything from top to bottom. So if anything goes wrong at the top, you know, you're not going to be able to reach the bottom, and all this content is not going to be showing properly. But if you keep this all at the bottom, then, you know, your site's going to load everything. If anything goes wrong, it's going to be happening after everything's loaded. So That's why this person has kept it at the bottom. All right, so that is that. And let's go back to the slide and go over a little bit of AI. So we're ready for tomorrow, and I'll make this really, really quick. All right, so quick exercise here. Name all the AIs that are on this slide. You can do it left to right, whichever order, and just type it in the chat window. Yes, thank you. Siri, yep, check. Alexa, yep. And Tesla, excellent. All right. All of them, yes, they're all AIs, right? Can you name what this is for? Netflix? Which part of Netflix is AI? It's pretty much everything, but yes, big data, yep. So watch list, yes, your suggestions, right? And what about this image right here? Simulator, navigation, yep, autopilot, right? And then one at the bottom, this one's a little tough. So this one at the bottom, it's algorithmic stock trading. Thank you, yes, stock market. And the one, the last one on the top. Well, it's, give you a hint, it's about medical image, right? It's the medical image reading, and AIs are very, very accurate. They're getting better at this every time. So I'm sure you had experience where you avoided clicking on certain videos because you didn't want the AI to learn that as your preference and make recommendations based on that click. So you might find yourself avoiding clicking certain videos even though you want to take a like 10-second look at it. And another thing is you might have like wrong face tags on Facebook. So AI is happening everywhere around us, and it goes beyond, you know, what we are seeing on the screen. So it affects everything. So in terms of when I go to Upwork to find freelancers for, you know, creating images and things like that, there are recommendations of who should be hired. That's AI. So all, you know, employee screening, initial screening is done a lot in AI nowadays. So that includes college admissions, getting loans, and yeah, all sorts of things like getting employed. And you might also notice that for some website shopping malls, they would give you coupons based on your actions. So some people might get a little more discount. So even though you're on the same platform shopping for the same thing, you might be paying this different price. So this is all AI and algorithms creating this world. And so we'll learn more about that tomorrow. If you don't have any questions, I'll pass the mic over to Omar.
Well, hey, thank you. And thanks to each of you for joining us. It's been such an honor. Hopefully, you've all had a chance to get all those resources. Do know that we have everything on the resource Google folder, and we'll be uploading this presentation to our website. It should be up by tomorrow. So thank you all. I'll see you tomorrow at 3. Have a good day. Bye now.
Bye.